What I'll be talking about is kind of the sort of things that we as Nudge say to our clients or say to our staff or anybody really who's kind of wants to find out what we're about. Kind of just to sort of set up the scene, because I know everybody starts with this sort of a lot of preconceptions come to the party, and everybody's clear that the branded app space on Facebook is either a graveyard or a gold mine. Okay, there are a host of serious agencies, brands, labels, and names that you've all heard of who've got apps that just died on first use. But on the other hand, you've got apps like and this is the example showing there, Kidnap for the travel channel that currently has 3 million monthly active users and is carrying on. It's like the sixth biggest Facebook app. So there are big opportunities to be win. I mean, 3 million just that's a huge number. We were talking about something that's nearly the size of the readership of the Sun. I mean, we're in that sort of we're sort of creating properties that can compete directly with things that you just consider as kind of unassailable media fortresses. So that's the kind of the opportunity here. So when you start off your kind of my branded campaign, there's an element of we've got to get somewhere between the graveyard and the gold mine and keep working on it. So what is Nudge? Nudge is a dedicated social network media agency. We're focused on social network campaigns for brands on Facebook, Bebo, MySpace, and other social networks. So we don't do anything else. If you ask us to come and create a microsite for your website, we'll hand you over to somebody else. A nice flash game, we might hand you over to somebody else. Our focus is entirely about social network, and that's because we believe that the whole web is really going social. If you haven't got a compelling reason not to be on an app on a network like Facebook, then why aren't you on Facebook? So we're kind of passionate advocates of Facebook, the platform in particular, and social networks, the generalist social networks in general. And really where we come from is we saw this problem where brands and users or their users are on the network and brands are sort of kind of outside it. And we want to try and find the natural way for brands and users to kind of talk together that would both benefit users and benefit brands. We work with CNN, 10pm, Photobox, THQ, Sky, a host of others have kind of come to us and are looking to Nudge just to sort out this one really key issue. We've engaged. I did a count up for the talk. We've got 119,000, 120 users of our apps at the moment, and counting with brands using Nudge. These are all contrary to many agencies, we've made so many apps. I keep forgetting. It's always amazing what we've done. We've done apps for the RAF, for the CNN, for bands, for singles. We've done apps for internet agencies, for photo apps. We've got apps that we've made ourselves to market Nudge. We've got remixed apps. We've got Bebo apps. We've got Ning apps. We've got MySpace apps, and we just love apps, I guess, is the kind of the output there. We create creative campaigns. There is a creative element to what we do, and this is kind of some of the tension that's been really discussed earlier, is that there's this idea of, well, hang on, if I'm creating something new, which is what is actually what you need to succeed in the social network, you do need to create something new. So there is this tension of where does the creativity come from? That can come from the agency. It also needs to come from the brand. That the brand has to have a much more deeper conversation than they might naturally be used to, because actually engaging on social media starts to create this potential for two-way conversations, and will start to open up the business in kind of new ways that perhaps the business does need to expand slowly. So that's why the conversation between the development agency and the brand is that little bit much more deeper. Again, I was talking about the sort of, we also buy media. So this is very much sort of as part of an overall campaign. We will buy media on a social network. So we either buy ads from other app developers, because one of the easiest ways to get people to use your app is to find someone who really likes using apps, and that's in the UK. Maybe targeted demographically, we'll get 17-year-olds in the UK to use the app that you build for us. We'll use either Facebook themselves or AdParlor, AdKnowledge, a host of other advertising agencies, and we kind of pick these four as the top four platforms that we're really interested in. Facebook, you obviously heard of because it's huge, 250 million users, growing at million a day. Sometimes it grows. UK, 14.4 million people. People spend 4 hours, 23 minutes on that every day. That's putting up there as the same sort of size. Time online, time as Channel 5. So Facebook itself is huge. Bebo, 9 million users, very much in that target age range. MySpace, really obviously so crucial in the music area. And then Ning, this network of networks. So 50 Cent's got his own Ning network, and there are like 100,000 network, sort of own-made social networks. So we can create properties that those network owners can then share with their friends, share with their network users. So how do we go about it? Not to get too heavy, but the key thing just to note here is this big cycle. There's a cycle. So social network campaigns are iterative. We talked, Saint mentioned this idea of 2 or 3 rounds of amends. It really is 2 or 3 rounds, maybe 15 rounds of amends. That's the sort of level of complexity and repetitiveness that you need to kind of invest into these applications. All those successful apps that you're competing with have gone through several iterations, if not 100 iterations each. So if you think that you can just put something out there and get it right first time, it's not necessarily going to be as good as that. So we create a concept, we create it, we distribute it, we analyze. Facebook app development, so there's a massive analytics part of this. Analyze it, optimize the app. If it's still going and growing, then we might add a few more features. If it's not, we might take the features out. If that still doesn't work, we might start with a new concept. There's that whole iterative approach, and as clients, as agencies, we all have to kind of get, if you want to succeed on the platforms, you have to kind of start to get with this sort of what is effectively a developer, a web application developer mindset, which is we'll get version 1 out, we'll sprint, get to version 2 out, sprint to the next version. Okay, case study, best crew by far for the RAF. This was working with Lean Bean Finding Machine and Kinship, so we're working with other agencies, and this was simultaneously on Bebo and Facebook, and the campaign target was 6,000 users over 3 months, and we seeded it to 4,000. What it did is it allowed me to create my best crew, my best RAF crew, and put it on the profile. So this is way back when profile was important on the social networks. This wouldn't necessarily work now as a campaign, but it allowed me to put my friends in a different role: intelligence analyst, regimental sniper. We got 19,000 users after a month, and 20% of those were clicking on these specific links to find out, well, what is an intelligence analyst? What is a weapons system guy? So that, for the client, that was absolutely hit all the buttons in terms of really trying to really get the message across that an RAF career is not just about flying a plane, it's also about all these really cool other jobs that you can do. So that was a great success. The apprentice board, this application was for not the last one, but the one before. I'll talk about it a bit more detail, but we were aiming for, we didn't really know how many we were aiming for. This was quite a while back, but it had such a strong viral loop where you created a board out of your mates, like a kind of your own apprentice board that went to 10,000 users, and they were all sort of saying, why did you choose me for Water Boy? Why can't I be the marketing director? That kind of idea. So people loved that. Finally, super photos, more of a long-term kind of play. So this is where we said, right, how do we, working with Photobox, which is a big printing agency, how do we look after high-res images on Facebook? Facebook, this is an aspect where you took something where Facebook not doing something very well, actually. Facebook was sharing, whatever it is, 13 billion photos, but they're all low-res. And if you want to then come and print them, make a T-shirt, make a mug, it doesn't work. So Super Photos solves that problem by allowing you to store your high-res images on Facebook and Photobox at the same time, so that when you want to come print them, you can. And that one's growing. We've got a next version scheduled for release this month, basically. Finally, not to forget fan pages, or as were fan pages now, public profiles. This is a really important way of getting yourself and your brand out onto the social network. And there are some people have mixed success. It really depends on the brand. But some brands are seeing these as much more valuable than microsites. Some brands think, oh, what's the point of it? So it really does depend on your brand. But if you've got kind of exclusive content that you're releasing on a kind of a regular basis, especially, I mean, it works really well in the video game world where you've got some really quite hardcore dedicated fans that want the latest stuff. Fan pages are a really effective tool. I just want to share with you really as Nudge, we've kind of come up with 4 main application kind of types, and what we find is that this really kind of helps everybody just to get their heads around what am I doing from a business point of view for my brand. So the first Nudge type is a conduit. So what is a conduit? A conduit is I take content I've already got on the web, so like Sky News video, and I just put it on Facebook. So I want to be able to see my Sky News video on my Facebook profile. That's kind of that conduit approach.